Good Saturday afternoon, everybody, and I am Mac, your host, and I am back. Another collab here, as another pregame collab, I should say. It is week number 4 of the young 2023 NFL season as the Pittsburgh Steelers had quite a flight trip over the past week or so, flying from Las Vegas. Had to make an emergency landing in Kansas City due to engine failure. Thankfully, everybody aboard was okay. Then back to Pittsburgh, and now we are down to Houston to play the Houston-Texans for week 4. And to my right, we have a guy who has been following me for quite some time, and I've been following him. Great loyal subscriber of mine and a diehard Houston sports fan. Yinz probably know who he is from that collab that we did about a month or so ago. Coach Dante, great to have you back on here, brother. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great, man. I can't wait for this week. Should be a solid game, good game between our two teams. I say you're one of my favorite YouTube guys that I like to watch, especially in the Pittsburgh community. You know, your rants and stuff, but also you passionate about your team. So hey, but I enjoyed every bit of it, man. So thank you for always having me on the show today, man.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for the love. It means more than you know, man. So today we were supposed to go for 90 minutes today, but a couple of us ran into some things that we had to take care of, but we are still going to go until 4:30 today, so it's just going to be a little condensed version for the collab today. So as always, I'm going to start with the history matchup between the two here. Let me pull it up real quick if I can find it. And I don't know if it's showing, but oh no, wait, no, it's not because I don't have the file up yet. Okay, so obviously the Steelers and the Texans, they obviously have not played very much, seeing as how they don't really finish in the same place as the same in their respective divisions very often. But they've only met 7 times. As the last time these met, you got to go back to a little over 3 years ago, September 27th of 2020. Deshaun Watson came in and actually gave the Steelers a tough time, but the Steelers pulled away with a 28-21 victory over the Texans. The first time these two met was the day after my 7th birthday, actually, all the way back on December 8th of 2002. The Texans won that game actually 24-6, but it was one of the oddest games in NFL history, because the Steelers outgained the Texans and outplayed them in just about every aspect offensively, but the Texans pulled away with nearly a 20-point win. So that's just bizarre in itself right there, but history is history. And of course, the last time that these two met in Houston, you got to go back to Christmas Day of 2017, which was the largest victory between these two so far. 34-6, Steelers got it done over the Texans, and that wrapped up the AFC North for us on that day. Steelers have taken 3 out of the 4 matchups in Pittsburgh, while the Steelers have taken 2 out of the 3 in Houston. So as I said, they have not played a whole lot, only playing 5 times, or only playing 7 times total. Steelers have the 5-2 advantage, but it kind of seems like this week the Texans come in with a little bit more confidence, coming off of that shocking performance and that dominant performance, rather, against the Jacksonville Jaguars, a game which CJ Stroud, showed that he really has potential to be a star in this league. So what are your thoughts about last week, man?
It's not shocking to me that, we beat the Jaguars, because we beat them 10 out of 11 times we played. And we beat them last year. Last year in Jacksonville, that was our first win of the season. So it didn't come as a shock to me that we actually beat them, because we straight owned them 10 out of 11 times we actually was on the field last year they snapped it in NRG Stadium last year because, you know, this is a team. We was in two different situations. We had to go through a coaching issue when a lot of players didn't want to play for Lovie Smith. Him playing that same old damn defense, or that Tampa 2 defense that was killing everybody. Then everybody didn't want to play. So we was in a far different situation. While the Jacksonville, they were in a playoff scenario situation coming in, knowing they had to win that game, knowing they had to win that game, knowing they had their playoffs hope solidified already. So, but the one thing about it, they just wanted to play and beat Houston because they haven't been able to beat us. So other than that, this year, you know, I felt like this was a different team this year. Different vibe. You know, we had injuries all over the place during that week, so a lot of people didn't give us a chance. I mean, again, injuries killed us. Jalen Petrie was out with a lung injury. We just lost Derek Stingley at practice, you know, 6 to 8 weeks due to a hamstring injury. We have 4 offensive linemen out. We have 4 offensive linemen out coming into that game. And, you know, we also had a linebacker that was out, Denzel Perriman. He was out as well. So, you know, we had a busload of injuries down in that going into that game. So many people didn't give us a chance. But again, you know, CJ Stroud, I got to give credit to a lot of Bobby Slowick, you know, the play calling for the Houston Texans. This is his first ever year, you know, calling plays, coming over there from San Francisco, being a quarterback coach over there. I like the way he schemed up every guy, every wide open. Tank Dell, you know, it's been really good. Our rookies, our actual young players is way on par than I thought they would be. They are playing really good football. They're playing like veterans. And again, I got to give credit to the offensive line. Offensive line didn't give up a sack last week. They only gave up 4 quarterback hits, but they didn't give up a sack last week. So Jared Patterson has been good on the offensive line. You had George Fant, who's been well. The offensive line has blocked pretty well for us. So I've been very impressed with the offensive line for allowing CJ Stroud to play stand up right. We haven't got the running game quite going yet. That's something we got to get going. And that's something I feel like coming into this game, we got to get going. We can't get the running game going. It's definitely going to be hard, but been very impressed with Tank Dell. Nico Collins he didn't play what he did. I won't say he didn't play well versus Jacksonville, but he was in a situation he didn't need to play well because Tank Dell, John Mechie, other guys was out there making plays last weekend. And the defense, you know, for getting 2 turnovers. Will Anderson is just a force to be reckoned with, man. With him blocking a kick, you know, making some tackles in the backfield. The defense forcing turnovers felt really good last week to get that win, especially against your division rivalry, especially when everybody got them picked the win to put 37 points up on them. That was a very good explosion. CJ Stroud is smart. He's more athletic than you think. And if he gets any type of time in the pocket, the man's going to put the ball right on the money any given time if the receiver's open. So give Coach Slowick the credit last week, and the defense forcing 2 turnovers, and also the game-changing play. They go down there and score to make it 10-4, make it 10-17. We get a touchdown from a fullback. Andrew Beck takes it all the way to the house, 96 yards off a kickoff return. That was the changing point of the game. And Trevor Lawrence throws an interception to Blake Cashman. But I'm very impressed with what we did last week, but this week is going to be a different test.
For sure, man. You know, with me, I kind of feel like with our win against Vegas, all right, so I am not surprised, but not particularly shocked that we won, because you look at it, it's like, oh, the Steelers beat the Raiders. I mean, no, you know, it's no big deal or anything. But if you know anything about us, it's that the Raiders have really been a big thorn in our side for years now. And especially when we go into their stadium, because prior to last Sunday night, the last time that we beat the Raiders at their place, you got to go all the way back to December of 1995. And I am not kidding. I am not kidding you, brother. The specific day that we beat the Raiders was December 10th of 95. I was 3 days old. I was literally being brought home from the hospital when that happened. So, you know, it's just nice to just finally get that monkey off our back, win against I'm not going to say win at a venue that we struggle at because this is the fourth time the Raiders have changed locations. But to be able to beat a team on the road that you are notorious for struggling at, it may not seem like much, but it's definitely a step in the right direction as far as where the Steeler team is going to be moving forward this year, considering that, just about every Steeler fan from a couple weeks ago. What's up, Leedy? Thanks a lot for tuning in, man. Steeler fans, basically every Steeler fan from that Monday night game that we had against Cleveland, they were chanting Canada, fire Canada. And while I do agree with them, you got to give Canada a little bit of credit for last Sunday because it kind of, the playbook was being open. We were incorporating some good play calling and we were executing well. Obviously, the two biggest highlights was Kenny Pickett's dime to Calvin Austin on that 72-yard touchdown strike to tie the game up at 7. And then in the third quarter, a beautiful touchdown pass to Pat Freiermuth to extend the lead. So you got to give Canada a little bit of credit for Sunday. But the thing with us is that one good offensive showing, it don't change our opinion on Matt Canada. He's still a terrible play caller. He's still very bland. He's still... I just don't think he's competent enough to be able to run an offense all by himself. And it kind of takes a little bit of pressure off of Kenny Pickett a little bit because that was, in my opinion, the best game that he's had of his young career so far. Yeah. But, I feel like I'm very fair when it comes to the quarterbacks because I know the quarterback nowadays is by far the most celebrated position in the NFL and possibly in all of sports.
Yeah.
And I'm very fair when it comes to Kenny Pickett because I will congratulate him when he has a great game. And he did. He played very well Sunday night. But I will also come on here and say, hey, brother, you're not playing well or you did not play well. You need to do better, especially if you're going to be the franchise guy moving forward with us. That's why we took you in the first round last year. So definitely Kenny Pickett is starting to gain a little bit more confidence. And similar problem as far as the run game goes with you is that we have the talent in the backfield to be a successful run game. But again, it's all about execution and it's all about play calling. And the players have blame to carry with themselves as well because Najee Harris, he's been hyped up to be one of the best running backs for the past 3 years now, and the guy's just not cutting it.
Yep.
I mean, that's all there is to it. I say it. It seems like I say this every week as far as the run game goes. You give Jalen Warren the amount of carries that Najee's getting, this run game would look infinitely better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, and you saw it Sunday night when Jalen was getting the carries. He was not running up the middle. He was finding lanes. He was getting big chunks of yards. And believe me, I know what it's all about to have a busted O-line because our O-line's dealing with some injuries as well. So I feel like now there's literally no excuse to not have Broderick Jones start in this game at left tackle tomorrow afternoon. Because, I understand. You don't want to throw in a young left tackle or any O-line like that against a gauntlet of pass rushers to start off the season. So it's like, okay, I understand it. I don't like it, but I understand it.
Yeah.
But, there's literally no excuse. I think Broderick Jones has to get the start tomorrow because, I'm not knocking at your guys' defense or anything, but there really isn't a pass rusher on Houston that can ring up the amount of impact that guys like Bosa or Myles Garrett or Max Crosby can impact with an offensive line. So I really feel like tomorrow needs to be Broderick Jones's first career start.
Yeah, I will say this. I think, we're okay at getting to the quarterback. Now, far as the run game, I say stopping you guys' run game. That's a concern because we don't have the personnel to stop the run game. Like Will Anderson and Jonathan Green-Gennard, I think they're too small on the defensive line for the run game. But now if Kenny Pickett has to open up and pass, I think Jonathan Green-Gennard and that's where Will Anderson them can become dangerous. I think we have respectable pass rushers, but far as the run game, I don't think they will. I don't think they excel as much at the run game. Now we did get Sheldon Rankins and Hassan Ridgeway who's hurt, and also Malik Collins who's hurt as well. Also, out too as well. That kind of hurts our run defense a little bit. For a little bit. So I would say we got respectable pass rushers, but not nothing you can be scared of.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned about CJ Stroud, and I mentioned this in my pregame yesterday on my separate video. CJ Stroud, I mean, on top of him appearing to break the cycle as far as Ohio State quarterbacks transitioning to the NFL, and with him, in my opinion, looking like being right up there with Anthony Richardson as being the best quarterback from the draft goes. Something that I noticed about him is that he takes really good care of the football. I don't think he's turned the ball over yet so far. And so I feel like tomorrow is definitely going to have to be a day for this defense to give him a, welcome to the NFL, because our defense is both physical and it can cause turnovers as well. We picked off Jimmy Garoppolo 3 times last Sunday. 2 of them were by the whipping boys that we like to call on defense, which is Levi Wallace and Patrick Peterson. Which is another thing. I want to see Peasy Jr. get a start tomorrow as well, because he has been playing so well so far as rookie defensive backs goes. But yeah, definitely it's going to come down to being physical and taking advantage of an O-line that is not used to this type of pass rush. And you got to make CJ Stroud, force him to make bad decisions, because like I said, he hasn't turned the ball over yet so far. He's going up against a defense that can cause those kind of turnovers. So it's very easy to see, in my opinion, that Texans fans are confident with this game, especially with the performance that CJ Stroud had last week against Jacksonville. But Steeler fans are getting that same vibe as well, because Tomlin, aside from his deplorable track record of going up against teams that are below his level of talent, he also has a good track record of going up against rookie quarterbacks. He's 22-4 in his career against rookie quarterbacks. And I don't remember the last time that a Steeler team lost to a rookie QB. The most recent one I can remember was 2016, where the Cowboys beat us in Dak Prescott's rookie year. A game that I was at, by the way. It was tough to watch, but it was a fun game, but it was difficult to watch. But yeah, man. So definitely CJ Stroud, in my opinion, it definitely looks like that he has a promising career so far. And some matchups that I want to touch up on you with the offense.
Okay.
That Tank Dell guy, he's looking like a really solid player for you guys so far. He went off last week against Jacksonville. And so and also, if you heard my pregame, we have to counterbalance that on offense as being one of my keys to victory, because I think it's going to come down to speed versus speed. And we have that kind of guy that can match that, because Calvin Austin's got some great wheels on him as well with that touchdown that he had. Gave Vegas second and third degree burns with that touchdown right there. So what do you think about the match? What do you think about a possible matchup between Calvin Austin and Tank Dell?
I like that. I like the matchup. I think it's similar. But one thing, our strongest point of our defense is our secondary. I'm very high on our secondary. Our secondary is really good. Last year, our secondary was top 10 last year. So the secondary wasn't a problem last year. The running defense was the problem. I think it still very much is the problem. But I like our ability to match up. George Pickens, that dude is on another level. Not say he gets the best of separations, but he does a very good job of just going up and being physical and outpointing his guy for the football. I mean, fighting for the football. So again. But then again, I like our secondary against the Steelers wide receivers. Pat Fryermuth, I got a lot of respect for him. He can provide a problem in the passing game as well. So I like the matchup. Calvin Austin, remember that guy from Memphis? We used to watch him at Memphis, very explosive, very fast. I think that Steelers versus Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, he got like about 5 yards behind the defense on that play. He's very explosive, so I like that matchup. Tank Dell versus Calvin Austin. I like that matchup. Tank Dell is played better than I actually expected. I knew he was good coming out of college. Everything rumor about he was very small, but one thing about it, he can get separation. He's very shifty, and if he can stay, he didn't have injury. He doesn't have a injury history, so he's very doable as well. But again, his blocking is a very good issue. But it's going to be hard to keep him off the field because he's so explosive. And his offense, him being able to get open and his versatility, is going to be hard to keep him off the field. So I like that matchup, Calvin Austin and Tank Dell.
Definitely. That's one I'm looking for tomorrow as well. That's probably my main one right there. And, similar to us, I mean, our pass defense, specifically the defensive backs, have just not been playing wide receivers well.
Yep.
To start off the year. So, like I said, I mean, this is where Peasy Jr. has to come in and get the majority of the reps as far as corner goes because, Patrick Peterson, while he is one of the best corners that I've ever seen, and he's certainly going to be in Canton when his career is over, the guy's showing his age. I mean, and the same with Levi Wallace. He's getting up there in age as well. And I know that, those two are not the long-term answers as far as corners go because, we brought him in on cheap deals in the offseason. Yep. We got Levi Wallace last year, but the point still stands. But, if you saw them last week, pretty much the whole country did because it was on Sunday Night Football. Davante Adams just cooked them all game last Sunday. He had over 100 receiving yards against us. Yep. And the guy that I was most worried about and most Steeler fans were worried about was Josh Jacobs, especially with the way that our rush defense is dealing with injuries like Cam Hayward, who's out at least half the season. And you got to figure with rotational pieces like Nick Herbig, who can generate pressure and he can stop the run as well.
Yeah.
That's another guy I want to see make an impact this week as well as Nick Herbig, rookie on rookie. But this pass defense needs to step it up. They need a shot of adrenaline, and I feel like this is where Peasy Jr. has to make an impact here because, in my opinion right now, he literally cannot do worse than Levi Wallace or a past his prime, twilight of his career, Patrick Peterson. So definitely, you have problems with the pass defense. We have problems with the pass defense as well. I think this is a game where both of these young receivers here are just going to light it up. They're going to use their wheels and their speed to their advantage, and they're going to have to pretty much carry the bulk of the offense for tomorrow. And and that's something that I really like about the matchup.
Yeah, one thing about it, I liked about that Sunday night game, which y'all played against the Raiders, knowing that Josh Jacobs, and I think when you go back and look at the Las Vegas Raiders' last 2 games that they have played, especially against the Bills and stuff like that, people taking notice that Josh Jacobs was a problem last year. He was a leading rusher. So I like what the Steelers did. They stopped the run game. They say Jimmy Garoppolo, go out there and make a play. Which is his only play was to Davante Adams, like you said. He was the only one being able to make everything work. And I believe he had about like 16, 15 catches. I mean, he was just a man on a mission. And Jimmy Garoppolo y'all did force him to turn the ball over three times in that game. So y'all did a very good job of stopping Josh Jacobs. And teams are taking notice that he was a leading rusher, and they're stopping him and making Jimmy Garoppolo try to beat them, and which is he can't do that right now. I thought that was a key. That was one of the keys of the game for Pittsburgh, but they did really, really well. And they got pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo. They got pressure on him. They got instant pressure on him and forced him to turn football over a lot in that game.
Absolutely, the pressure was there. And, that's just like another day at the office for us. I mean, like, when TJ Watt is just, coming on the field and, by the way, at halftime tomorrow, JJ is going to be honored. And, it's going to be a little bit of a conflicting issue for TJ, because that's his big brother over there. Yeah. And, he's playing for the opposition. It really, just as a side note, I mean, it really is a big missed opportunity that we never got to see TJ and JJ go at it, man. It should have. Yeah, it should have happened in 2017, but JJ was injured and he had to miss the game. So that's a big missed opportunity right there. But, it's good to know that TJ's going to be there. He's going to, probably, just congratulate his brother and go like, okay, time to kick your team's ass again. But, yeah. But, yeah, man. But definitely back to what I was saying. When TJ's presence is on the field, he just makes like instantly everything better for our defense because, like I said, my Victory Monday, the whole defense just seems to feed off of it. Like you get Highsmith, who's really become a catalyst for this pass rush. You see stuff like Keanu Benton getting his first sack last week. You get the coverage even starting to get a little bit better. You see the run defense starting to get better. When TJ was injured last year, this defense was suffering heavily from it. And that's one of the biggest reasons that we were 2-6 at the bye. And TJ comes back and we're a top 5 defense the rest of the way. So that's why I feel like TJ at some point, because we all know that MVPs is pretty much just a quarterback award now. If there's a defensive player to win NFL MVP for the first time, I believe since LT did it, it has to be TJ.
Yeah.
Because MVP doesn't necessarily mean that you're the best player in the league. In some cases it does, but they call it MVP for a reason. Most valuable
player that year.
Yeah. Like if it was the best player, it'd be called the BP Best Player Award.
Yeah.
But it's called the most valuable player.
Yeah.
You see how valuable TJ is to the defense. You see how trying to think of another example. Like you see how I would say important Patrick Mahomes is to the Chiefs. But even then, in the playoffs, they were able to keep themselves above water with Chad Henne in there. Not knocking anything away from Mahomes because he's a hell of a quarterback. But is he really is he valuable enough to be able to be like the – you get what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah, I get what you're trying to say. Oh, yeah, you can – like I don't know how you feel about this, but – kind of want to put Lamar in that category to the Ravens.
Absolutely.
He is valuable to what the Ravens do. You see, like the Ravens, like I believe back-to-back years, you look at what the Ravens team was. They were 7-2 last year, I believe, before he got hurt. And that's totally a different team when he gets hurt. That's totally a different offense when he gets hurt. You go back the year before last when he was out, he gets hurt. And you see a big difference between Tyler Huntley and him.
Absolutely.
And how he was. So he's been nothing but a winning quarterback for the Ravens the moment he stepped on the Ravens football field. So, yes, a lot of people like to overrate him a lot, like to underrate him a lot. I believe he's a solid quarterback. He's a great quarterback when he's on the field for us for the Ravens tape. But again, a lot of people don't value him that way, but he does win games when he's out there on the field for the Baltimore Ravens, and he still could be a valuable problem. That's what you're talking about, what you're saying, how valuable TJ Watt is. The production goes down when he's not on the field.
Absolutely.
But when he's on the field, it lifts up everybody else, and it helps everybody else play well and get better. As far as when you look at Lamar Jackson as well, he goes off the field. The Ravens are a different football team. He's on the field. They may not advance far in the playoffs, but his production means a lot to that Ravens team.
Absolutely. And the same thing back in the day as what's up, Bobby? Thanks for tuning in, brother. As back in the day with Peyton Manning when he was with the Colts. I mean, was he a phenomenal quarterback? Absolutely. But he has neck surgery and he has to miss all of 2011, basically. The Colts had one of their worst season, had one of their worst seasons in franchise history. And then he goes over to Denver, and it's like he picked up right where he left off. So, like, you see how valuable Peyton Manning was to the Colts and how valuable he was with Denver.
Yep.
And the same thing can be said about Aaron Rodgers as well, you know, with Green Bay. But, yeah, so we're about a half hour in, and we're just going to wrap up with keys to victory, score predictions, and then we're going to leave it up to the chat for the last half hour. So for tomorrow, I'll let you start first. So what do you think Houston has to do to come out with a dub tomorrow?
First of all, I believe we have to stop the running game. Like I said, we're not as good stopping the running game. I like our secondary the matchup versus the Steelers wide receivers. I think far as Kenny Pickens, he's gonna get his. I mean, George Pickens, he's gonna get his. I think that's one receiver, you know, I worry about right there on that side of the football field. I think Calvin Austin. If you can just stop his speed a little bit, you can't stop the speed, but if you can just contain him and not let him get behind the defense, I think you should be fine. But George Pickens, not the best of getting separation, but he could go up and catch the football. He's a big-time physical receiver. I just like if we can stop the run game, I think we could be in good shape and get pressure on Kenny Pickett. I think we could be okay because Kenny Pickett does have the tendencies. He could turn the ball over. He could be a turnover machine if necessary, if putting pressure on. So I think when they drop back and throw the ball, I think are the key to the game. You got to get pressure, but you got to stop the run game. Like I said, we don't have the personnel to stop the run. We don't got all two big guys up the middle. And if we can stop the run, we can be fine. We can be fine. The offensive line, they got to block. They got to come on with it. Got Alex Highsmith, who I actually like. Nobody talk about a lot. He should get a lot of recognition. He should get some respect that he deserves because I really like him as a defensive tackle. And TJ Watt, hey, he's a force coming off that edge. So if the offensive line can hold up right enough to allow CJ Stroud to survey the field, I believe he has a chance, you know, to try to be a playmaker and make plays. So I think those are my keys, you know, just keeping CJ Stroud upright and stopping the run game. Make Kenny Pickett beat you with his arm. Make Kenny Pickett make some big plays with his arm.
Absolutely. I definitely feel like, you know, you have to make a young quarterback beat you in order to really get your game plan elevated, which is my main key to victory for offense right here, for defense rather right here. I mean, CJ Stroud had a fantastic day down in Jacksonville, and I feel like with the defense, with pressuring him, you know, using disguise coverages, dropping from cover 1 to cover 2, which is what, you know, Tomlin's bread and butter has basically been his entire coaching career for us. You got to be able to confuse a young quarterback like that. And, you know, like I've mentioned already, CJ Stroud, he's taken very good care of the football. So this definitely has to be with incorporating the pass rush. TJ has to pick up where he left off. Highsmith has to come in from the other side and use your depth. I mean, you know, get Herbig involved, get Keanu Benton involved, Larry Ogunjobi with the interior blitzing right there, and cause turnovers at the same time. You know, make this be like with CJ Stroud. You know, hey brother, you're a good early story so far, but you're going up against, you know, one of the best defenses in the league, and you're really going to have to keep your guard up as far as protecting the ball goes. So that's defensively for me on how to win this game, is to just make CJ Stroud give him a welcome to the NFL. And as far as offense goes, again, the speed on speed matchup with Calvin Austin and Tank Dell, you got to be smart with the football. You got to limit the turnovers, which we didn't turn over Sunday, even though we should have, because Marcus Peters dropped an easy pick six. And, once again, I mean, you can't be too bland with the play calling. You're coming off your best offensive showing that you've had all season so far. Incorporate more of that creativity for Sunday, man. So those are just we got to block well at the same time. We got to be able to use the run game to our advantage and just get creative with what we have at receivers. The Pickett to Pickens connection's been popping as expected, but I want to see more of Kenny Pickett using his security blanket and Muth. And definitely Calvin Austin has to be a shining factor in this one as well. So those are my keys to victory for offense right there. And what's your prediction for tomorrow?
Well, my prediction, I got the Steelers winning in a close game, 21-17. I think this is C.J. Stroud first test of the season. I know you had Baltimore week 1, and he took a lot of pressure. He took a lot of quarterback hits. He got sacked by like 5 times, I believe, but he still did a good job, especially for going up against a Ravens defense who could be really feisty and really physical at times. Thought he made some excellent throws. He had some good poise. He doesn't seem to get rattled. He don't seem to get rattled at no point of the game when you look at him, or he don't seem to be shooken up. So again, I think this is going to be his test. It's going to be his test to show, hey, he comes out and lights up this Steelers defense and has time. Then people are going to be really talking about him as being people are going to be really talking about this guy can play any defense, can go up against any defense up in the league. But this is his first test against a very good pass rush, a very good Steelers defense, a team that knows how to game plan for you. And again, this is going to be his first test. Like I said, I know the rookie wall is going to come sooner. Going to get ready to come sooner. It's going to be that. That's going to happen to any rookie that comes out here and play in the NFL. You're going to run into those bumps and bruises. And like I said, I feel like he's going to do that probably tomorrow against a very good defense. So now I wouldn't be so upset if he comes out and has an average game, has pretty much an average game, or an interception or 2 interception game, because that's what the Steelers. That's how good that Steelers actually defense is. That's a learning. One thing about CJ. He progresses well. He bounces back well, and that's one thing I like about him. So wouldn't be so upset if he comes out and have one of those games. That's the position of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's put you in. That's how good Mike Tomlin is, and Brian Flores as well over there helping coaching that defense as well.
Definitely. I think we come out with the win as well, but like I mentioned before, it does seem like, Steelers are going to win this game. No doubt about it. But Mike Tomlin, as I'm going to read off a comment here by one of my typers that I had that mentioned in my my pregame yesterday, if I can find it right here.
Yes! Take your love of the game.
All right. So this is Mike Tomlin's track record of going up against teams below his talent level since 2007. These are losses that he's had. 2007, lost to the Jets, who went 4-12. 2007, lost to the Ravens, who went 5-11. Granted, that was week 17, and that's pretty common because we pretty much had the division and a playoff spot wrapped up at that time. So it's maybe just like a whatever, tank it, because we couldn't get any higher than the 4th seed at that point. But still, you drop it to a 5-11 Ravens team. 2009, lost to Kansas City, who went 4-12. 2009, lost to the Raiders at home. 2009, lost to the Browns on a Thursday night game. 2012, lost again to the Raiders. 2012, lost to Tennessee. They were 7-9 that year, I believe. 2012, another loss to the Browns. Charlie Batch was the QB, turned the ball over 8 times in that game. 2013, lost in London to the Vikings, who were 5-10-1. 2013, another L to the Raiders. that game opening up with Terrell Pryor, 93-yard touchdown run, the very first play of the game. 2014 lost to the 2-14 Bucks. 2014 lost to the Jets, who were 4-12. 2015 swept by the 5-11 Ravens. 2017 a 3-13 Bears team beat us in Chicago. And then 2018 lost to Denver, lost to the Raiders, both on the road, who were terrible that year. 2019 lost to the Browns, which is whatever. It's a divisional game. Anything can happen. 2020, Monday night, dropped to the Bengals with Ryan Finley as their quarterback. And then last year, lost to the Jets, who were mediocre. That's a lot of losses to teams who are below average to terrible. And Mike Tomlin has that track record right there.
Yeah.
So with all that, but he also has that great track record of going up against rookie quarterbacks. So I feel like we get the win, but it's going to be a lot closer than what people think it's going to be.
Yeah, I think
and I'll be honest, man, it would not surprise me if Houston actually beat us tomorrow. I'd actually be more surprised if we blew you out.
Yeah.
Because that's what the Steelers do. We don't really blow – once in a blue moon, we blow out an opponent. It's usually a good team that we blow out, if you can wrap your mind around that. Yeah. But I still think we get the win nonetheless, but I'm expecting a good game.
Yeah, I'm expecting a real close game tomorrow as well. Like I said, we play hard, man. We do a good job of playing hard. And D'Amico Ryans, he's doing a hell of a job already. The culture already is changing over here. And I'm very impressed with what my guys are doing out there.
Absolutely. And you guys have every reason in the world to. It looks like the rebuild's going well with you guys. And you're definitely using those picks that the Cleveland Browns gave you for Deshaun Watson to your advantage. Yep. So I do feel like that maybe a draft or two away, Houston can really make some noise in the AFC.
Yep, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, so we got 18 minutes left just about. We're going to leave the rest of that up to the chat because I got stuff to do later on. But, yeah, man, if you guys haven't already, go sub up to Coach Dante. He is a diehard Houston sports fan. You want Texan stuff. You want Houston Rockets stuff. You want Houston Astros stuff. As the Astros look to wrap up a playoff berth today, they can clinch that with a win, as I think the Texas Rangers actually clinched the AL West last night, if I'm not mistaken.
No, they lost last night. They
lost?
Yeah, they got beat pummeled 8-0 versus the Mariners. They pitching down bad. They pitching bad. Bad.
Yeah, so the Astros looking to clinch another playoff berth tonight. Unfortunately for my team, we've been out of it for months, but we have played spoiler over the past week and a half or so. We put a big dent in the Cubs' playoff hopes. And, of course, last week we put a big dent in the Reds' playoff hopes last week, coming back down 9-0 against them.
Okay.
And beat them 13-12, the biggest comeback in Pirates history. So the Marlins pretty much have to lose out, and the Reds have to win out in order for Cincinnati to clinch a playoff spot. But, yeah, man, it's interesting. The Astros, I mean, they're like the cream of the crop in the AL right now, but still, like, when it comes to Baltimore, I mean, the Orioles just had a phenomenal season this year. They won their 100th game the other day, and the AL playoffs go through them. Yeah. So, like, if you run into the Orioles in the playoffs, what are your thoughts about that?
Oh, if we get in, that's if we get in today, because I think we're in two different scenarios right now. So if we win our game today and the Rangers lose against, Seattle, we win the division because we own a tiebreaker over the Rangers. Now, if we lose and Seattle was to lose, we get that spot. I think we get that spot over Seattle. We get that spot because Blue Jays is in that second wild card. And right now they're losing 2-1 versus the Tampa Bay Rays with the Rays batting right. I think with the Rays batting right now. But now if we lose and Seattle somehow wins against the Rangers again and somehow lose against the Rangers, beats the Rangers again, if we lose, I think we up out of the playoffs because the Rangers probably be a percentage point over us. So that will put us out. So it's crazy scenarios that we got to do, but we want to win our game versus Merrill tonight. We got away with beating Zach Gallen, who's been really good this year for the Diamondbacks. But I like our chances versus the Orioles. We had a tight series with them. We lost the series to them just about no more than a couple weeks ago. Well, we should have won the series when Ryan Presley actually blew a save against the Orioles that would have gave us a big series victory over them. We end up coming back and beating them 2-1 in the last game of the series. But I like our chances, versus the Orioles. The Orioles have not been used to playoff success for a little while. We have been used to playoff success, regardless on even our worst year, the COVID year when we was 33-37. We still made the AL championship and end up losing against the Rays and almost coming back and beating them 4-3. So other than that, I like the experience if we get in. I feel good about beating if we get in playing the Rays or the Twins because we had success against those teams in playoff races too. And when we played them in playoffs, so I'm not scared of any team in the AL. I'm not scared of any team to play any team in the AL at all. I just think if we get in, we can be a problem alone itself. And with Justin Verlander, being able to pitch, when Brahma Valdez being able to pitch in the playoffs and our bullpens be able to pitch in the playoffs, I feel real good about our chances if we get in today, if we get in starting today. If we get in, I feel good about our chances against the Twins, Orioles, and all of those teams. I feel very good about our chances.
Absolutely, man. That's why I don't count the Astros out at all because, they've been in the ALCS every year since 2017. They've won they've won 2 World Series along the way. So, I don't know if I'm ready to call them a dynasty yet, but I feel like if they've made 4 World Series since then. So I feel like if they win it this year or next year, I'll officially call them one. But yeah, the Astros, when it comes to the AL, they're definitely the cream of the crop. Whereas the NL, on my side, everyone says, "Oh, it's the Dodgers." Not really. Because the Dodgers, they are known for choking in the playoffs. And yeah, they won the World Series in 2020, but I hardly even count 2020 to be honest with you because you play 60 games all season. Which is just 37% of an entire season.
Yeah.
That's basically the equivalent of playing 6 games in an NFL season.
Yeah.
So I'm not really impressed with that because right after that you win 106 games the next year, you blow it in the playoffs to Atlanta. So everyone's saying, well, the Dodgers are the team to beat. I say not really because there's a big collective thing with the NL where there's a lot more parity. The Atlanta Braves, phenomenal year, won over 100 games, best record in baseball. Milwaukee, they were mediocre all season, but they picked up steam in August and September, and they clinched the Central. So, I hate to say it as a rival fan, but if you see a team like Milwaukee in the playoffs with their pitching being stellar, their offense picking up steam, they can make a lot of noise. Then you got wildcard teams like the Cubs. I feel like they overachieved a lot this year, but they're starting to downturn a little bit. Miami can make some noise. Philly has been great for the past couple of seasons now. They're the defending NL champs, and they're back in the playoffs. So, definitely it's hard to tell out of the NL as well. So I feel like everyone is capable of beating everyone when it comes to the NL. Whereas the AL, it's okay, you got Baltimore who had a fantastic year. Tampa Bay is always a good team. The AL Central is just won by default because
the other teams ain't is a shit in that division. So yeah, if the Yankees were probably in that division, they probably win the division themselves if they were probably in a different scenario in that division. I just think the AL Central is pretty weak. It's pretty weak.
Oh, it's terrible.
I think Minnesota's not even. I don't think Minnesota's really even good. I just think they've been.
Yeah, they're they're okay. They're not great, but they're not terrible.
Yeah,
I just think they benefit from a weak division.
Yeah, that's what I agree with you.
Cleveland had a very rough year. They were dealing with a lot of injuries this year. The Tigers, I mean, they're still a work in progress going so far for them. And then the White Sox went from an underrated team to whatever the hell they are right now. And then the Kansas City Royals, it seems like they're like the AL version of us where they're just perpetually rebuilding.
Yeah.
So, it's really not that hard to win that division. You got to win 80-something games and you're good.
I think Cleveland pitching was fine. The bats aren't good, aren't good this year. The bats were just all god-awful.
Yeah, also, their bats were terrible.
Jose Ramirez, I think the bats were god-awful. I think the pitching for the Guardians pitched really well this year.
It's kind of the opposite for us because, I say it all the time with the Pirates and the Guardians. If you want them, we're kind of like the NL version of Cleveland, and Cleveland's kind of like the AL version of us.
Yeah.
They're very similar. They're pretty much the same franchise. The only difference is Cleveland just runs their front office way better than we do. But with us, I don't like Andy Haynes at all. I don't like. I don't think I need to say that. I think you know how I feel about.
Yeah, I know how you feel about organization.
I don't need to say how I feel about Shelton, but if you look at the offense is there. We can hit the ball well, we can hit it in the outfield well, we can drive in runs. The problem with us is pitching. Mitch Keller easily had the best season of his career, but you can't really call it a Cy Young type of career because that goes to Derek Shelton for working his arm off too much. And the bullpen outside of David Bednar has just been hideous, blowing leads left and right, giving up big chunks of leads in the 8th and 9th inning. Colin Holderman, I think, has been a major disappointment for us this season. So it's the Pirates and the Guardians, they're a lot alike. Small market teams, small market cities. Pittsburgh and Cleveland are very similar when it comes to cities as themselves. So they mirror each other a lot. And, both fan bases, from what I can tell, they hate their owners. But the thing that separates it, Cleveland knows how to develop from their farm, and they give their prospects much more patience than we do. Whereas this guy has had one down series, or this guy just had one bad year. Let's trade him away for nothing. Where Cleveland, it's okay, well, this happened with them. Let's give him another year or so. And if it's not working out, then we know we can get a good return to plug him in the farm, develop him, and bring him up in a couple of years or so. Yeah. So Cleveland has way more patience than we do because we expect every prospect that we call up to be immediate stars. And, it's not like that we don't draft well. We actually draft really well. We just have no patience with the prospects. And that's why we do trades. That's why trades like the Austin Meadows trades happen. That's why we have lousy and crappy GMs like Dave Littlefield and Neil Huntington. And that's why the Pirates are what they are. And that's why Cleveland's one of the best small market teams in the league.
Yep. That trade was kind of crazy. It was kind of crazy. There was so many good prospects that you guys had, that went somewhere else and was able to perform at a higher rate. That just showed you about the development of those players. Tyler Glass now, who didn't look so hot with y'all, but he goes to the Rays, and all of a sudden he's a crazy good pitcher with the Rays. You talking about you brought up Austin Meadows, who had a good season with the Rays, and probably one good season with the Detroit Tigers, and that's probably was it. But yeah, speaking of development, like I say, we had even a couple ourselves, JD Martinez, who became a superstar all of a sudden. So we had issues. That was when we were going through that 3-year period of losing 100 games back to back.
Yeah. What's up, East Coast Gridiron? Thanks for tuning in. He says, I don't know shit about baseball. But,
he's just a supporter. He a football guy. He a football man.
Yeah, I feel it. I mean,
he's a Jaguar fan. He's the Jaguar guy. Yep.
Yeah, with us, I also feel like that we pay players too early.
Yeah.
Like we did last year with Key Brian Hayes before the season began. We gave him the biggest extension at the time in Pirates history.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that I really want to like. He's a guy that I really want to be on board with, but he's so injury prone. Like the guy has at least four stints a year on IL, but when he's healthy, he's as good of a defensive third baseman as it gets.
Yeah.
Like he's right up there with Nolan Arenado. But he needs to stay healthy, plain and simple. It seems like he's starting to swing the bat a little bit better too, but it all comes back. He needs to stay healthy, man. And then obviously this year, the biggest headline with us, Brian Reynolds gets the largest contract extension in Pirates history. And I'm just going to say, he did not turn in a very solid year. I mean, sure, the hits that he had were respectable, and, I don't expect him to hit, 25, 30 homers a year because he's not that kind of player. He's more of a contact kind of guy. But his average is kind of lousy. His on-base percentage was kind of lousy as well. But, part of me wants to say, well, it's the first year of an extension year. He'll live up to it. He's still young. He's still got some time to prove. He's only a couple months older than me. So, he's still young. He'll get it together. But at the same time, it's like, okay, this guy got his money, which is what he wanted all season, and he wanted to stay in Pittsburgh. But I think he's letting the money get to his head a little bit. And he's not turning in, he's not turning in superstar type performances except when it comes to defense.
Yeah.
So this to me seems like it's very high risk, high reward when it comes to extending a guy like Brian Reynolds. And I don't know who's next to be extended. If I had to guess, it'd probably be Mitch Keller because because you need another young stud in the rotation, because that I can already tell you that's going to prolong a guy like Paul Skeens' career when we eventually bring him up, which was another great draft pick by Charrington. But, you have to be careful as a small market team where, like, you can't spend money the way teams like Boston or the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Phillies, the Cubs, the Pirates can't spend money the way those big market teams can, because when you're small market, one bad contract can set you back years.
You ain't lying about that. Definitely agree with you.
And he says, just tuning in to hear it. Well, thank you, East Coast. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yeah. So how do you feel about the Rockets this year?
Hey, man, I feel great, man. I feel awesome. Like I say, man, I feel good about our culture. Another culture change, another head coach that was needed. That's here to change the culture of this team. I definitely like what we're doing. I think we're going to be an improved team. We should be between that 10th seed, that 10th, a playing tournament. Like I say, I can say we can at least go from winning 23 games to at least 35 games, 36, 35 games. I think we got the talent, we got the personnel and the veterans to do it, combined with mixed up young players. I absolutely like our chances getting into a play-in tournament game. I think no more than about 10th. It will surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if we get close as 8, but I would say 10th, in that 10th range, 10 through 11 range.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, the Bulls, we're an interesting team.
Yeah.
Like, we can score. The Bulls can score a lot of points. But the problem with the Bulls is that they don't really defend the rim very well. So, like, I feel like we really need a big guy as far as defense goes, because that's one of the biggest things that held the Bulls back, all year last year. I mean, I've only officially been a Bulls fan since summer, so, like, still I got a lot of work to do as far as giving a fair assessment goes. But from the highlights that I saw and from what I've seen with what I've seen from Billy Donovan so far, we need a big guy on defense, and we definitely need to defend the rim well. Because like I said, the scoring is there, but the defense with the rim and parts of the transition defense definitely needs to step it up.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to tell you about how do you like your rookie He got a sack this last weekend. Keanu Benton, man, how you like him?
Love Keanu Benton. Love the pick when it happened. Tomlin always has had, you know, a lot of – Tomlin's always had some great connections with Maryland and Wisconsin players. And, you know, TJ is where – Wisconsin is where TJ went to college as well. So, like, I knew immediately when we got Keanu Benton we were getting either a blitzer or we were getting a nose tackle, the guy that, like we used Casey Hampton back in the day. And he is not disappointed so far. The guy, you would not expect a dude that big in Benton to be able to move that quickly, because when teams are running the ball, this dude can shift his position uphill so quickly. And like you just would not expect a guy that big to be able to move that quickly. Yeah. Keanu Benton is such a disruptor. He can get to the quarterback, not so much sack him. And, you know, like I said, he had his first career sack last week on Jimmy G, where he broke through the penetration and collapsed on him for a sack.
Yep, I saw it.
But that just shows the power that this dude has. I love him. I love that pick, and I'm really excited to see more of him.
Yeah, I was a big fan of him at Wisconsin. Liked him at Wisconsin. Him and Nick Herbig. I was a big fan of those guys, man. You know, Wisconsin, man, they have a good tree, man. They have a good little tree coming out of college. They have some good little talent coming out of college. You talking about Jonathan Taylor, you talking about Gordon when he was coming out of college, and also Watt, JJ Watt, who came out from Wisconsin. You know, the Watt brothers and all of that, man. They got a really good tradition of the linebackers and defensive linemen that comes out. They have a good tradition overall.
Absolutely, man. All right, well, it is 4:30 on my time right now. And, yeah, sorry, guys, that this had to be a little condensed. But, stuff comes up with us. But, man, Dante, it's great. It was great to have you back on here, man. We got a collab again.
Yes, sir.
Brother.
Let me know, man. Always a pleasure, man.
Yeah, for sure. And hope you enjoyed the collab here, guys. And I will be live tomorrow afternoon for my reactions with the Steelers and the Texans. And are you going live tomorrow too?
I was planning to go live tomorrow for the game. But if you're going to go live, just let me know something.
Yeah, we'll do, brother. But I definitely will be live. So,
okay.
Yeah, that was Coach Dante, guys. Like I said, if you haven't already, go sub up to him. Is the link for his channels in the description and in the title of this collab as well. Mm-hmm. And I will see you guys tomorrow afternoon. I am Mac, checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.
Have a good one, y'all.